Flight boss, bitch, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we're going to talk about planets. Oh, my bad, not planets. House Lords. Now, right now, we're going to talk about the Ascendant Lord, the first House Lord. So, right here, I'm trying to see everything. Alright, let me see. Alright. So, look, right here. This is when your first House Lord goes into the other houses. Now, how I'm gonna do this segment because, okay, I know how I'm gonna do this. Now, your first House Lord, your first house is your I am house, your personality, your personal issues, your personal surroundings, how you may see the world. A lot of times, not how you see yourself like your sun sign, or not how you feel like your moon sign, but how you see the world in general, like where you see yourself actually aligning yourself with. So your ascendant is going to play a big part of what you do personally, and it's going to play a big part of your personality and your character. Which your sun, moon, and your rising all builds your character in general, and Mercury and Mars and Venus and Jupiter are like your tools that you have for your character. So when we talk about the first house, anything that's involved in the first house is going to be attached to you personally. And it's going to be attached to your aura and the spirit and the energy that you carry in general when people first meet you or when people just know you in general. Like, for example, the first house, the ascendant, that's what people first sense when they meet you. But once they start to get to know you, they start to know how you act and how you react to things. AKA, they start to know your sun and your moon sign. But when they go describe you to someone else, they may not like a lot of your ways, which is your actions. They may not like how you feel, so they may talk about you negatively to other people about that. But when they just talk about you as well, how this person is to me in general, but overall this person is a cool person. They talking about your ascendant. You see what I'm saying? So when we go to first house Lord, let's start off with first house Lord being in the first house. So when you have a first house Lord in the first house. Now, what is a first house Lord? A first house Lord is whatever sign is in your first house. The planet that rules that sign is the house Lord. So whatever house that planet falls into is going to be where your house Lord is at. And right now we're doing first house Lord in the first house. Now right here, when you have first house Lord in the first house, what happens here is anytime a first house Lord comes into the same house that represents, it gives you power over that energy. So when it comes to the I am, the personality, a lot of your personal issues, when the first house Lord comes into the first house, you're here to utilize these things for your type of gain or your loss. So you're here to utilize your personality to a certain degree. You're here to utilize your personal issues. A lot of people who have first house Lords in the first house gain popularity through their struggles in their life because they may have a lot to tell to people. So a lot of their personal stories that they tell other people, they're able to receive a personal gain from it. These are people like you ever seen a show that like Oprah or somebody, and you just be like, why Oprah talking to these people? Like they life isn't even that spectacular, or nothing even that bad happened to them, but Oprah paying them to be on her show to talk for some reason. That's a lot of these people have the first house Lord in the first house. A lot of their personal issues was just able to be spring forward in their personal life in some type of way. You know what I'm saying? So it could even work out badly. Like a lot of your personal issues in your life that you deal with may be the reason why you're blocked in a lot of situations in your life. They may just be like, this person can have the job, but this person was raised by such and such, so we can't have this person here. Like things like that. You know what I'm saying? But the good part about it is, it was really no good or bad. This is just actually what you're here to do. Your house Lords is what you're here to do with that house, because the opposite houses is always what that house is looking towards, and the first house is looking at the seventh house. So at some point of time, the first house going to need to understand its own expression, its own personality, and be able to apply it with others and not to be disgruntled, and learn how to live harmoniously amongst other, even amongst disagreements. So when you have the first house lord in the first house, even whatever planet falls here is looking at the seventh house. So now that you know what the first house represents and first house lord represents, now let's go into each planet to know what's going on. Now, if Aries rules your first house, then Mars is going to be here. So off the bat, Aries loves to be in the first house because the first house rules Aries. Mars loves to be here too because this is home for Mars. The 8th house and the first house is home for Mars. So this is one of this is one of Mars's homes. So what happens here is when you have Aries first house lord in the first house, what happens here is your intentions and things you intend to do is to handle your personal issues and to work on your own personality and your own personal self and to understand the I am. Now, how you going to understand others if you can't even understand yourself? How you going to take care of others if you can't even take care of yourself? So that's Mars gets to do that in the first house. Aries gets to do that in the first house. That's why they love being here. That's home for them. So that's Aries being in the right place. See, if Aries was in, or Venus or something like that was here, it'll play out in a negative way. You know what I'm saying? But Aries and Mars play out positive here. So Aries is cardinal fire. It gets to initiate and create, and fire represents the way you see things and the way you feel about things. So Aries in the first house can actually do that, can actually initiate and create new ways of how to see and how to feel things when it comes to, and how to feel about things when it comes to the I am, the self, the personality. And the more you get to understand yourself, you can understand others. You know what I'm saying? The people who have the most disagreements and discomposition with others is people who don't really understand themselves. So a lot of times they just see the faults in themselves and place it onto others. They place they insecurity onto others, and that's why I allow a lot of arguments a lot of times to come about. So Mars and Aries won't allow that to be here. You're going to be personally, whatever word I'm looking for, with yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be well with yourself. You're going to be personally cool with yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to have too many personality flaws because your intentions and things that you're into and your desires is going to be based upon your own and not other people's. It's going to be based upon your own, the I am, the personality, personal issues, things that you're personally into, your personal surroundings. That's what your desires is going to be predicated towards. Anytime somebody have disagreements, a lot of other times is when their Mars is in Libra or Mars is in Taurus. They're worrying about what other people desire, wanting the same thing, or they Mars in Gemini, wanting something that somebody else desire or something like that. When if Mars was here in the first house right here, you get to desire what you want to desire. Therefore, you're even more able to place yourself as being a leader than a follower right here. Now let's go in if Taurus is your first house. If Taurus is your first house and Venus is going to be your first house lord. So first house lord in the first house being Venus. Now, what happens here is Venus doesn't like to be in the first house. Now, Taurus here is going to be fixated. You're fixated on your own way of thinking and practicality because Earth represents thinking and practicality. And Taurus is fixed Earth. So right here with fixed Earth, the I am and a lot of your personality and a lot of your personal issues is going to be fixated on your own way of thinking about them and what's the most practical way of doing it. Now, Venus here, a lot of times with the first house lord being in the first house and it's Venus, this going to make you your personality is going to be very harmonious, very compassionate, very Philly like, very compromising like. But a lot of times it's going to get filtered out through you are personally into pleasures. You want to be pleasure so that it could become selfish. Venus in the first house could make a person selfish, but when it's the first house lord being in the first house and it's Venus right here, this makes you have to make a lot of your personal issues and your personality comes across as harmonious. Like you grew up in a harmonious surroundings. A lot of your personal issues, you have support there, and you're here to apply yourself in that way. So you're here to kind of give your personality to someone else, give your personal issues and the compassion and the compromising and that type of harmonious energy to someone else. So you're here to not personally be selfish, but personally be a selfless person. So when first house Lord being in the first house and it's Venus, you're here to construct your love and your appreciation, your value, but here to construct it for others' personalities, other people's personal issues, other people's personal values. You have to be that personal person in another person's life to uplift them. So you're here to point out another person's talent, what another person can do. When another person's down, you're there to lift them up, and you're lifting them up with your personal issues, your personality. And by it being Venus here, a lot of times it's supposed to be pleasant, harmonious. You know what I'm saying? Compromising, fairness, and a lot of times you know how to communicate yourself and feel and connect yourself with other people's personalities, even when you have to tone down your own personality for the sake of someone else's overpowering personality, for the sake of relating to them. And the more relatable you are, the better you could put yourself in a position personally to be aligned with others that could place you in a situation of greatness. Because you see, Venus right here it can't really do that in the first house. It doesn't like to be in the first house, but it's able to use others and able to do that. Now Gemini in the first house. Now Gemini is mutable air. So we know that mutable is being adaptable and changeable to its own or other people's ways, and air represents thinking and communication. So that's mutable air. Gemini. So right here, your first house Lord is going to be Mercury. So when first house Lord comes into the first house and it's Mercury, right here you're here to communicate. And right here, this a lot of times, like when I was speaking about in general, all first house Lords in the first house can be on Oprah or be somewhere getting praise or getting extra hate for their personal stories. But right here you see it the most with Mercury. People who these people like to analyze and communicate and think about personal issues or their personality or personal situations or personal people in their life. They like to communicate and think and analyze about a lot of these situations to the point that they talk themselves into situations where they're the ones who's teaching other people's or analyzing things for other people or domestic issues for other people because they have been through it personally already. So these are people you most likely will see, like if first house Lord in the first house, if all of them end up on Oprah, let's say 90%, let's say 90% of them, let's say 80%, the 20 strong percent that may get there first before the other ones is if Mercury, if Virgo or Gemini is the first house Lord. Because what happens here is Mercury Mercury has influence of communication, thinking, and analyzing, and it's going to do that amongst personal issues, personal people it know, personal things it know, personal insecurities, personality wise. The personality may be filtered through a communicative personality to a certain degree. So it don't matter what sign you have in the first house, having Mercury in the first house in general makes your personality a communicative person. So right here, just having Gemini here, you're automatically a communicative person. But with Mercury here, you're going to want to, your first house Lord being in the first house, you're going to want to be able to communicate and analyze something that you do personally, or or communicate and think about something that you've learned personally, something that a puzzle or something that you have got enlightened about personally. Also, it's like you could talk your way into things that can help you out personally in life, because the first house is the personal house, your personality, your personal aura, personal issues, you know what I'm saying, personal insecurities. You know what I'm saying? So with Mercury here, you're here to communicate about these things, whether they're bad or good, and that's going to spring forward you. Even if you're just wanting to get a job, if you're communicating to the manager about a lot of personal stuff that you have analyzed and thought and came up with to why you want this job, then you're going to get the job like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you're using your energy correctly. So the universe has no choice but to open the door for you. So it'll make the manager feel like, well, this person is really communicating their personality to me, and this person seems like a real analytical person and a highly thinking person amongst personal issues that may be going on within the store. So or within the construction site, or within the business, or whatever you work at. So that's first house Lord being in the first house if it's Mercury. Now Cancer. So if Cancer rules your first house, then the first house lord in the first house is going to be the moon. So if the moon here, then you're here to emotionally connect or emotionally empathize with other personalities or other people's personalities or other people's personal issues. So right here, when you say that, you may think it's a hard thing to do, but comedians do that. So you have a lot of comedians with this placement, with the a lot of comedians who have Cancer's first house, and if their moon is in the first house also, then a lot of comedians can play this role. You know, a lot of Cancers are comedians in general, but right here, because it's like it's gaining empathy and being connected to the emotions and feelings in a personal way. So you connect emotionally through people's personalities, through people's the way people react to things. So making people laugh is causing a reaction. Making people mad is causing a reaction. Making people do any kind of emotional reaction is with the first house lord being in the first house, and if it's the moon here, is what they're supposed to do. You have to ignite something emotionally on a personal level. So comedian, that's the fastest thing I can think of. But there's a lot of things you could do. You could caseworkers, people who work heavy into domestic issues, people working on people's personality, dealing with the mentally retarded, dealing with old people. Like a lot of this can correlate with the fourth house, because it's also square in the fourth house, and squares and oppositions are the positive angles when we talk about the houses, and sextiles and trines are negative when we talk about the houses. Because look, trines is procrastination, a gift. Because trines is a gift, you know what I'm saying? It's a support system. So when you have it in the houses, that's something you automatically already have. So if you could procrastinate or get lazy, that's like having a game you already beat. You already beat it, so you don't play it as much as you used to. You're procrastinating, you get lazy on it. That's like you having a gift something you already know how to do. You already know how to do it, so what's the point of keep trying to prove you know how to do it all the time? That's your trines. So when you look at all your trine houses, like your first, third, and ninth, you know what I'm saying, your second, sixth, and 10th, you know what I'm saying, your third, seventh, and 11th, your fourth, your fourth, eighth, and 12th, your trine houses are your support system. You already have that. So the first house support system is, if the first house is the I am, your personality, personal issues, the support you already have is the fifth and the ninth house. So the fifth house is your creativity, the way you express yourself, the things that you're entertained by. So that builds your personality. The ninth house is your wisdom, your experiences you went through, things you've learned, you know what I'm saying, in this lifetime. That builds your personality. So you go from the ninth house, you take your wisdom, what you learned from and the experiences you went through, right? Then that cultivated your fifth house. Your fifth house, now you have a way of seeing things, so now you express yourself in a certain way. You have a certain creative outlook on things that you learned and your experiences you went through, and now and you're entertained by certain things because you know you experience certain things to know about it now, to be entertained or not entertained about it. So now it develops the way you express yourself, and the way you express yourself is what people see from you to be your personality, which gets filtered through your first house, which is your personal issues, things you're personally into, your personality, the people you personally surround yourself with, you know what I'm saying, your aura. So it's like that with each houses. Your earth house, your second, sixth, and the second house, you plant the seed. The sixth house, you work on it, work on the health of it, value it, make it a day-to-day routine so it can be healthy. Then your 10th house, the status house, the status of that plant, how it's grown, what people know from it now, how it look, the career of it. It actually blossomed. You see what I'm saying? Each house does this. The third house is the communication house. So it's how you communicate amongst and how you adapt yourself to others and your own communication style. You know what I'm saying? Is what you your basic communication learning from your surroundings, right? Then you take it to the 7th house. So now you know how to take that and connect with someone on a one-on-one basis communicatively, and now you take that and apply that stuff to the world. Now you know how to communicate with people you don't know, people you do know, associates. You just got your basics fixed way, aka fixed way, Aquarius, 11th house of how you communicate and think amongst the world. You know what I'm saying? You got the 4th house. The 4th house is the emotions and the feelings and how you initiate and initiate and create new ways of the emotions and feelings, because you have to do that. Anytime a domestic issue come up, anytime a family issue come up, let's get to the root bottom of this. What can we do? How can we fix this issue? The house dirty. The house need cleaning. How can we fix this issue? Oh, we must clean up. That's initiating and creating a new way of how to feel and how to emotionalize the situation. You know what I'm saying? Now you take that, and now you take that within yourself. How do you personally feel about it first? You initiate this new emotion and feeling amongst everybody else, but how do you truly feel about that? Is that really something you want to go through with or not? Do you need to stay fixated on it, or is it okay to be melted and to be transformed into the collective? So you went into the 8th house. When is it right? Then once you figure out is it right or not, then you can bring it out amongst the world. Now you can show the world how you feel and show them how they should feel. And that's going into the 12th house, being connected to the collective consciousness. So when you have Cancer in the moon in the 1st house, right here, it kind of plays the same role as if you would have had the moon in the 4th house by itself. If you have Cancer in the 1st house and then the moon here also, it makes you think about these same type of issues. Now, and it makes you connect. So you have to be here as an emotion support system for others. And you have to be reserved with your own emotions, your own personal emotions. So that's like caseworkers, people who work with children. People who work with children that's fucked up in the head. They just lost their parents due to death or separation or something like that, and you're like a caseworker or something like that. You see what I'm saying? That's a move. Now, let's go into Leo 1st house. Now, if you have Leo in the 1st house and you have the sun here, 1st house, the sun rules Leo, so that's 1st house Lord in the 1st house. So with 1st house Lord being in the 1st house and it's the sun, right here, you're here to enlighten people about something personally. You're here to show people something personally. Now we have fixed fire in the 1st house, so that's being fixated on its own way of seeing and feeling about things. You know what I'm saying? So you got your own way of how you feel and see about your own personality and other people's personality. You know what I'm saying? But when the sun 1st house Lord comes here, right here, you're here to personally emphasize that. You're here to enlighten others where others may not be enlightened at, based upon their personal issues and their personality. So when you see someone else being fixated on an area that they shouldn't be, you have to use your personality to uplift that, to give them a more optimistic point of view. Show them their talents, show them what they could do, show them where they can go right in life, show them how they can apply themselves. Even if you have to lead by example or lead by telling them. And a lot of times, if it's Leos, they like to lead by example through expression and the feeling. You know what I'm saying? Feeling a certain way about something. So, you know what I'm saying? With the sun, 1st house Lord being in the 1st house, and it's the sun, that's what you're personally here to do. You're here to personally enlighten people. A lot of times this could play out like the sun being in the 1st house Lord being in the 9th house, if it's the sun. You know what I'm saying? Or the 5th house. So you're here to be a leader amongst ideas and a leader amongst feelings, not emotions, not soaking in these feelings, expressing the feelings. Like if you have a feeling, express it. Try not to soak into it, see it for what it is, and express what the feeling look like. See, that's the difference between water and fire. See, water and fire, they're the fillers, but fire feel and they the fillers and the seers, and water is the fillers and the emotions. So this is why fire signs see visions, because your emotions and your feelings have no look to them. They're inside. So when you want to see them, fire it brings brightness, it brings enlightenment, light. So that's like a fire sign seeing their feelings. So when they see it, they give it a look. So when they give it a look, they give it an expression. So this is why fire signs see visions and like to express their feelings. You know what I'm saying? Water signs, they live in another realm. They got the feelings, but then they soak in their feelings and put it in emotional boxes. So they live in the world of their feelings. Because an emotional box is a box you put your feelings in. It's like a cup you put your water in. Water is your feelings. So the cup is going to be what it's in. So the emotions is the world. So the feelings, someone could make you feel a certain way, and then you give that feeling a name, or you give that feeling a title, or you give that feeling a place, person, or look. So you're giving that feeling a look. So you're not seeing how it looks, trying to express it. You're trying to give it a look. So you're giving it a world. So you say, okay, that's a bad feeling, or that's a negative feeling, or that's an angry feeling, or that's a blissful feeling. So you put that feeling in that blissful world, or you put that feeling in that hatred world, and now you soak in that. So anytime someone remind you of the world your feelings in, you can express that. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thin line. And just the same way with earth and air, they have thin lines. They're the thinkers, but the air think and communicate, earth think and practicalize. So earth deals with the common sense. They like to think of what makes sense, and earth scientists like to think in general and communicate about any and everything in general. It's just it depends on which one, if it's the mutable, fixed, or the cardinal one. The cardinal is going to initiate and create what they want to communicate about. So that's dealing with one-on-one, what I could talk to you about. The mutable is going to want to